Alright folks, tonight we have Wuchang Fallen Feathers and we have popped in the 5060 Ti with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. I just want to take a note, we are on the current profile of Ultra, and this does have one above Ultra actually called Extreme. But yeah, this is Ultra, so we're just going to start here tonight. And this game doesn't have traditional ray tracing toggles, they're just kind of built into the presets, so just bear that in mind. Alright, so as you can see, we are over we're at 8.1, 8.2, so we're over 8 gigs of allocated VRAM. So it's very important that when you're considering this card to definitely get the 16 gig version, so that you weren't held back by that VRAM buffer. But right now we're looking pretty good. We're at 49 FPS. Again, this is at 1440p. And let's just see what we can do to get this number up. This is straight DLAA. There's no upscaling whatsoever and no frame generation. So we're just going to see what some upscaling does for us and go from there. So right now we're at 100%. Let's just drop it down to that quality preset, which is 67. All right, so this is 67. Let's see what that does for us. That's about 52, 53. I have noticed this title takes a minute to kind of catch up with itself, I guess, whenever you make some adjustments. So right now we're just under 60. Okay, there we've hit 60, 61. And it does really depend on what section of this map you're in. So up here in this canyon, it tends to get a little bit better as you traverse the ladders and that kind of thing. Whenever you go up that scaffolding, it does tend to increase a little bit. So it must be something with the water or something about that area. But as you can see here, we're jumping up to, there was like a 67 in there. So it's feeling pretty good, really. I mean, considering that there's absolutely no frame generation going on right here, it's pretty impressive for a 5060 Ti. But let's jump over here and turn on a little bit more of that upscaling. Go down to a performance setting, and let's see here. Make sure that took. All right, there we go. All right, so there's 50. All right, so that drops us. Well, that ups us to 79, 80 FPS, and I can tell you right now on 1440p, this is totally native. I'm running it pixel for pixel, so on totally native resolution, it looks ever so slightly softer, just like a tiny bit, like you can totally get over it. It's not a big deal. And that gives us a little bit of a break and gets our FPS up to a pretty respectable 62. All right, so with that said, let's just go up to the Ultra preset and see what that can do, and then we'll check out some frame generation from there, because I really feel like this game will run just fine at 1440, no problem on this card. All right, so let's jump over here and go to this preset down here, which would be, let's see, where is it? I need to go up to graphics settings. There we go. Okay, so Ultra Extreme. Now, whenever you do that, it adjusts your resolution scaling. So you need to bring that back up. Again, this is all just part of testing. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys like the most accurate representation of what you can expect. All right, so on Extreme, which is the absolute maxed out. So this is as bad as it can get, really. You're at 52, 54 here. You're at 8.6 gigs of allocated VRAM, and you're at 7.4 of used. So if you were on that 8 gig card, you might see some swap. I'm not sure how it would exactly behave. I don't have that particular card in my arsenal at the moment, but I would just feel much better with the 16 gigs. For the extra cache, it's not that much more, and it definitely gives you a lot more headroom, because you don't want to limit the card just because it doesn't have VRAM. That sucks when that happens, because once we start to frame generate, it will need that VRAM. So if I were to frame generate right now, I would have the VRAM available to do so. If I was on an 8 gig card, it's not going to happen. All right, so anyway, let's just check it out. All right, we're just going to go up here. Now let's see what quality does, and then we'll go to performance. But up here, it tends to run a little bit better. But as you look out, as you can see, I dropped down to like a 48. I like to get up here and look out. That way I can get a view that is a little bit harder to run. All right, so let's just jump over here and go to our next setting, which would be a quality DLSS. And that gives us 50, 74. Okay, there, it looks like it kind of caught up. So Yeah, it looks like 52. We're at 8.8 gigs of allocated VRAM, and we're at 7.5 of used. So now that we're able to kind of tell, like, we can definitely get close enough to 60 with a performance preset. I would like to turn on some frame generation and see how it behaves then. And then I'll probably go back to that extreme preset and do some frame generating at that setting as well, because you know, I want to make sure to keep all the frame generation testing together. All right, so let's just jump over there and do that. Let's go here. I believe it is here. Let's turn it on. All right, so we're at that quality preset, and let's drop that down to 2x. Actually, I skipped one, didn't I? Let's turn that off. Let's go back to performance. See what performance does at the extreme preset. Okay, so we kind of see it's getting close to 100 in some places when I stare at a totally flat black wall. But yeah, in a more realistic setting, it's looking like it's right around 60, 72, allocating 8.5, and we're using about 7.5-ish. So yeah, we're looking pretty good. Extreme on the quality and extreme on the performance gives you enough of that base FPS to frame generate from. So it's really just a matter of preference. So as you watch my videos, it's kind of just more of information that you can use however you determine you would like to use it, because everyone's play style is different. All right, so yeah, anyway, let's just jump over there and do a little bit of frame generation. All right, so this is kind of where the 50 series tends to shine. All right, so once you have that base resolution up, you can just go 2x here, and that's going to give us 94, 93 FPS here. Super smooth experience, looks really good. Again, this is a performance setting, and we're looking like 2x gives us very respectable frame rate here. As I stated earlier, you're going to allocate more VRAM whenever you do use frame generation. So as you can see, we're just at 9 on that allocation. We're still using 7.5 though, so you know, oh, there's a big stutter. I believe there might be some folks to bash around over here. Oh no, that's a kid. I haven't been up here yet. I don't want to trigger any story elements. So anyway, let me just run down here. All right, so let's just come over here and see what the next setting would give us. So this is 3x. It uses a little bit more VRAM. Yeah, there's your used. It's right at 8. So as you can see, that that frame generation really gobbles up some VRAM. So you definitely need to have a little bit of VRAM buffer, VRAM insurance. Once you get to that frame rate that you want to call your base frame rate, once you get to that, you want to make sure you have enough VRAM still left over to do the frame generation. All right, so let's go to 4x, and let's go down here. Yeah, it looks like a pretty nice experience, 160 FPS. We're definitely allocating more VRAM now, and we're definitely over what would be 8. You know, so this is the 16 gig version. So if you are on the 8 gig version, this is where you would typically start to run into some problems. You know, as you hit up against that VRAM buffer, and it's going to start dumping into that system RAM, which is never a good thing on a game. All right, so let's see, what else do we need to do here? All right, so we've gone through all that. Let's go down to a quality preset. Let's bring this back up. So this is extreme still, and we are on the quality preset. Oops, let me go down to 2x. So a quality preset gives us about 80-ish. It does clean up the image a little bit. You know, I mean, it looks pretty much native now. The performance setting had ever so slightly added what appeared to be just a tiny bit of film grain effect to it. But, you know, it wasn't anything distracting or anything bad at all. It was totally fine, in my opinion. Everything looks good, though. We're at 90 FPS. It does run better on the scaffolding. I don't know why. I guess it's just because you're higher up and you have, like, you know, lower resolution textures and stuff in the back. I'm not sure why, the technical side of it, but that's my guess. And yeah, so there's a little place up here that tends to be a little bit harder to run than I'm trying to get to. All right, so up here it looks like we are at 105. Okay, it drops down to about 88. As you look out on this, you know, big scene here, it tends to drop a little bit. All right, so let's just drop over to this setting. What is it? What's next? All right, so let's see. We haven't done 3x yet. 3x brings you up to about 104, 125, 128, 130. Okay, that looks pretty good. There's nothing to complain about there. Yeah, so 3x, 4x, it's pretty much just math. I mean, it kind of does represent itself pretty well usually. You know, 2x, 3x, and 4x, it's pretty good at, you know, sticking true to what it's claiming of, you know, doubling and then tripling and then quadrupling your frame rate. But yeah, here we go. So let's just jump over and do the 4x. That way we can get that out of the way. All right, so this is 4x. So you're at 100. Say you have 144 hertz refresh panel. There you go. You've hit that refresh, and that it looks just as smooth as ever. I don't see any ghosting, nothing like that. You are well over your 8 gig VRAM buffer if you were to have that version of this card. So, you know, I know I've said it a couple times in this video, but people do skip around, so I do repeat stuff like this. Make sure you get the 16 gig version of the 5060 Ti, absolutely, for sure. All right, so yeah, looks really good though. So let's jump down to the presets here. We're going to go back down to Ultra, and we're going to check out what it looks like with just 2x on Ultra. All right, and it looks like it moved. There's a little slider here. There we go. I don't want it to be off. Okay, so this is quality with 2x on Ultra, and it is 76 FPS. And our VRAM allocation is 9, and our VRAM used is 7.8, 7.7, something like that. So you can just kind of say like 9 on the allocated, and it's using 8. All right, so there we go. So let's just jump over to that next preset, not preset, but that next 3x setting. This is again quality, DLSS, 3x on the Ultra preset, and it looks very good. Allocating 9, using about 8. Okay, that frame time graph is nice and smooth, 125 FPS. So I mean, I can unequivocally say, it's a big word for this late, but I can unequivocally say that a 1440p experience on the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte for Wuchang is totally doable. Yeah, this is a really nice experience. Super smooth. I'm not noticing any sort of major hitching. There's like a few right when you kind of walk into this area, but I think that's just more like crap being loaded in or something. I'm not really sure, but you know, that's a super one-off incident because everything else has been pretty smooth ever since. Yeah, so let's just jump over to the next setting, which is drum roll, 4x. All right, so 4x Ultra, and this is the DLSS setting of quality. And 140, 163, 170, 153. It kind of jumps around a lot up here on the scaffolding, I think, just because one side is like a pretty closed off wall, and then the other side is like the whole town, so it kind of does jump around a little bit. All right, so say you wanted to just do a little bit of you know, super high refresh. I don't know, some people like to call it, you know, get as many as you can. There you go. So this is 2x with the performance preset. All right, so this is performance DLSS 2x, and we're looking like 108 FPS. And I will say that, you know, performance DLSS looks really freaking good. You know, it looks, DLSS 4 looks about like DLSS 3 quality did, DLSS 4 performance, that is. So performance DLSS on DLSS 4 looks just as good as DLSS 3 quality. I know that was a lot to digest, but in my opinion, you know, use whatever, you know, you kind of feel like using, because it all looks pretty good at this point. Definitely made some strides in DLSS for sure. All right, so I did not mean to drink a potion. All right, so let's come down here, let's jump over, and let's leave that there. Let's go to 3x. So performance DLSS, 3x frame gen. I am noticing a little bit of ghosting around her, just like tiny bit, nothing too major or anything, but as you can, I'm not sure if it's coming through on YouTube, but you know, as she kind of runs back and forth, I can see a little faint outline of her body trailing behind her just a little bit. Not distracting at all, though. I don't want to, you know, amp it up like it's some big deal. But yeah, it looks like it's just a tiny bit of ghosting. This is 3x, so it might actually get worse at 4x. But let's see. Let's go to 4x. All right. I'm not really seeing any. Doesn't seem to be much worse. It's still there though, obviously. But it does give you, you know, a lot of frames. So right now, you know, this game at either setting really does run pretty well. And from my other test on the 5080, I did a 5080 video on 4K, and yeah, it's, you know, it performs about like it did on that at 1440. So you know, it kind of just tells you this card's pretty strong for this title, really. And yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up there. I hope this gave everyone kind of some insight on a little bit, you know, well, a very new title. This game just came out at the time of this recording. And just to see if 1440 can be doable on the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. And the answer, in my opinion, is absolutely yes. It feels really good. You wouldn't be disappointed, I don't think. All right, so if you like this kind of content, please like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see you in the very next one. Peace.